kick it off if we're ready. Good evening. I welcome you all to the meeting of the Cardinia Shire Council and now declare this meeting open. Please note that this meeting is being webcast live over the internet on Council's website. Before proceeding to the business before us, can I ask for a motion to close the meeting to the members of the public due to the health and safety concerns associated with the COVID-19 pandemic under Section 89(2)H of the Local Government Act? Moved by Letitia Wilmot and seconded by Councillor Graham Moore. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. We will commence the meeting with the following prayer. Almighty God, we humbly request that you bestow your blessings upon this council, direct and prosper our deliberations to the advancement of your glory and to the betterment of the peoples of Cardinia Shire. Amen. The Cardinia Shire Council respectfully acknowledges that we are on the traditional land of the Bunurong and the Wurundjeri people and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Apologies. We have received apologies from Councillor Brett Owen and Councillor Jodie Owen this evening. Minutes of previous meetings. Can I have a motion, please, to adopt the minutes of the meetings as listed? Moved by Councillor Colin Ross and seconded by Councillor Michael Schilling. All those in favour? I declare that carried. Thank you. Declarations of interest. Councillors, do we have any declarations of interest you'd like to declare? There being none, I will continue to ordinary business. The Council conducts its meetings according to a consent agenda. Councillors have advised of the matters for consideration this evening that they wish to discuss or debate. The remaining items will be adopted without discussion. The items withdrawn for tonight's proceedings are as follow. Items 3 and 4. The proposed budget for 2020-2021 and the updated council plan and council plan actions. Withdrawn by Councillor Letitia Wilmot. Councillor Wilmot, would you like to move?
Thank you, Mayor, and if I could indulge you all for just a moment, I'll read through this rather long recommendation. The recommendation tonight for the proposed budget of 2020 to 2021. 1. The proposed budget annexed to this resolution be the budget prepared by Council for the purpose of Section 127 of the Local Government Act 1989. 2. The Chief Executive Officer be authorised to give public notice of the preparation of such budget in accordance with Section 129 of the Local Government Act 1989. 3. Council hear any submission on any proposal or proposals contained in the budget made in accordance with Sections 129 and 223 of the Local Government Act 1989 at a special council meeting to be held on Monday the 25th of May 2020. 4. Council considers the adoption of the budget and the declaration and levy of rates and charges for the 2021 financial year at the council meeting to be held on Monday the 15th of June 2020. COVID-19 partial rates rebate for 2021 rating period and the financial hardship measures. That Council 5 approve the partial rebate of $50 on general rates for the 2021 rate year to owners and ratepayers of residential properties, including vacant residential land, who hold a Commonwealth Healthcare Card or a Commonwealth Seniors Health Card. 6. Approve the extension of due dates for all outstanding rates to the 30th of June 2020. 7. Approve that no interest be charged on any overdue rates instalment amounts to the 30th of September 2020 and to apply Council's normal financial hardship guidelines on any debts still outstanding at the 1st of October 2020. 8. Approve for any ratepayer who receives a partial rate rebate is eligible to also access a payment plan if they choose to do so. 9. Approve suspension of recovery action on any existing debt and no new debt recovery action be undertaken until the 30th of June 2020. 10. Approve extension of Council's financial hardship guidelines to all rateable properties experiencing temporary financial hardship due to impacts of COVID-19. And the recommendation for the council plan and council plan actions is that Council 1, adopt the following changes to the council plan as draft and release for public comment. The updates to the council plan in the areas of the demographic data, key activities of council, services provided by council and strategies, policies, plans that support the council plan, as well as updates to the council plan actions that identify key initiatives to implement the council plan. And thirdly, updates to the strategic resource plan to align with the budget papers. And 2, hear any persons that wish to speak in support of their submission made in accordance with section 223 of the Local Government Act 1989 at a council meeting to be held in the council chambers on the 25th of May 2020.
Thank you, Councillor Wilmot. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Michael Schelling. I'll go back to Councillor Wilmot to speak to this item.
Thank you, Mayor. I feel like I've run a marathon reading all of that. Councillors, as you're all aware, this budget process started in the usual way with our council workshop back in December. But it's fair to say that the draft budget being presented tonight is very different to the draft budget we worked on back in December through to early March. By mid-March, it was obvious that COVID-19 pandemic was going to have a major impact on many of our local businesses and residents. And it was also going to have a major impact on council's cash flow and income. The ongoing challenge for council is that 80% of council's adjusted underlying revenue is received via rates and charges, with the remainder primarily consisting of government grants, fees and charges and contributions by developers. While council has worked hard to reduce the costs to a level where it is now one of the lowest cost providers of services, the ability to continue to find efficiencies and savings into the future will be challenging without potential reductions in services and service levels. In the current COVID-19 pandemic environment, the budget includes delayed cash flows and reduced fees and charges for an assumed period of 6 months to the 30th of September 2020. The 2020 to 2021 proposed budget will enable council to continue to meet the challenges associated with this rapidly expanding population. The Capital Works program of $84.229 million has been prepared to ensure residents across the Shire have access to an expanding range of new recreational and leisure opportunities and renewed and upgraded infrastructure. A detailed list of these projects are contained in Appendix B. And there are many highlights within the council program, and I won't go through them all tonight, but I'm sure that councillors are well aware of the projects, particularly those that they in their own specific wards. But council has also committed in the capital expenditure a total of $42.844 million on asset renewal, and this includes roads, bridges, footpaths, drains, buildings and plant equipment. This budget addresses the key needs of our current community, and with the strategic resource plan caters for our current and future communities. It is a budget based on sound financial principles, prudent debt management and responsible asset management. In line with the strategic resource plan, the 2021 proposed budget has been designed to reflect council's commitment to make Cardinia Shire the best possible place to live, work and raise a family. The COVID-19 partial rate rebate. Council's really very aware of the impact that this COVID-19 is having on our community. The COVID-19 global pandemic and the state and federal restrictions has led to a significant loss of employment and closure of business. This will cause considerable financial stress for a large number of our community, and Council has a responsibility to provide assistance. The recommendation tonight is to adopt a COVID-19 rates rebate to provide financial assistance by way of partial rebate waiver to any ratepayer that holds a Commonwealth Seniors Health Card and a Commonwealth Health Care Card issued by Services Australia or the Department of Veteran Affairs. It should be noted that this rebate is a once-off response to the impacts of COVID-19, and it is not a new rebate that is intended to remain in place on an ongoing basis. It should also be noted that the rebate will not apply to ratepayers that hold an eligible pensioner concession card, as they already receive the municipal rates concession as part of the State Concessions Act 2004 and Section 172 of the Local Government Act. A total of $1.6 million in stages 1 and 2 of the sport packages Council is providing to residents and businesses, but Council will continue to work with the Victorian Government and local partners to further relief funding. The Council plan. As part of the budgetary process, Council is required under the Local Government Act to consider whether any adjustments to the Council plan are needed on an annual basis. Councillors and Council staff have been reviewing the existing Council plan and action plan since September 2019, and as a result of the review, a number of minor updates have been identified and have been included in the draft document. The strategic resource plan has also been revised and is also included in the updated documents. Community feedback. Once the proposed draft budget and the Council plan are adopted, Council is required under the Local Government Act to make the documents available for public consultation for a period of 28 days. This 28-day period will commence on Thursday the 16th of April and go through to Wednesday the 13th of May. Notice of the adoption of the proposed budget will be communicated to the community through the local press. Members of the public are invited to make submissions on both the draft documents, and anyone who wishes to speak in support of their submission will be heard at a special Council meeting on May 25th. It should be noted that there is no community consultation or communication in relation to the proposed COVID-19 partial rates rebate for 2020 and 21 rating period or the financial hardship measures. I'll leave it there for now, Mayor, and I'll let my seconder speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wilmot. I'll now go to the seconder to speak. Councillor Schilling.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Wilmot, for moving this tonight. We have to acknowledge that as a community we're living in unprecedented times, and Council unfortunately is not immune to these ever-changing circumstances in the community, and we'll have residents who will be unable to afford their rates, and as an organisation we have to have the right policies in place to exercise a degree of compassion and understanding for our residents. So for me it's important that this budget is compassionate yet responsible at the same time. The $1.6 million COVID-19 support package to assist community members to support groups and businesses cope with the financial impacts of coronavirus is important. And as Councillor Wilmot has highlighted in her remarks, that will provide partial rate rebates for eligible residential ratepayers for that 2021 year. This also includes some business fees and also the development of online tools to help support our local businesses in the Shire. There are a number of great items that are funded in this budget, which include some great assets across our broad community. For Central Ward in Pakenham, that includes money allocated to the My Place Youth Centre, the money in the budget to relocate the Pakenham Tennis Club to the Regional Tennis Centre, the off-leash dog strategy, and also the Tumuck Reserve upgrades as well, and also some initial money planning for the Cardinia Life expansion. As a council, we have to make sure that we're caring for those in the community who are doing it tough at the moment. And whilst at the same time, we still have to make sure that we're supplying critical infrastructure which keeps communities healthy, active, and also well connected. I do think that the proposed budget we're about to put on public exhibition does achieve that balance. And as a council, we have had to make some very hard decisions over the past few months, which we probably weren't expecting to have to make, but I am confident that this is the right budget during the right time for our local community. Of course, once again, we put this out to the public, and the public will have the chance to be able to make a submission to this process. And I would highly encourage people to go through the budget documents, go through the council plan, and please make a submission, because it can have an impact on the budget, and we have made decisions based on community submissions. So I'll leave it at that, but I'd like to thank all of my council colleagues and all the staff who have been involved in the very, very robust budget process. And look, and I hope that this is a budget that the community will like. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Schilling. Do I have any other councillors who would like to speak to this item? Councillor Ross.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to support my fellow councillors who have highlighted many of the things in this extremely challenging budget. I don't think there's been many times outside of war years when councils had to take on something that they don't know where it's going to end and how it's going to affect the community. And every council will be slightly different because the makeup of their community has a balance of different workforces and different family pressures and things that will come onto them. This budget, I believe, has been put together in a way that we've looked at with our scenario planning, everything from the worst scenarios that can happen, in which we would still be able to support the services that we provide to the community, which would be terrible if they fell away because they're urgently needed in times like this. Also, to enough cash flow to make sure that our employees are paid during the time, so therefore they don't have to worry about whether or not they're going to get paid. Also, to honour any bills that council has. As the state government and federal government said, if you can pay on time or pay in advance, that would be wonderful, because so many organisations out there mightn't have as much cash flow and might need that. Also too, in this budget, we've looked at honouring the projects which we've already started, because there's a lot of people involved in those with jobs who need to maintain their jobs. And we've considered and deferred some projects because, not knowing what's coming, we do want to honour those projects, but we might have to put them back a little bit to make sure that the rest of it can all flow as well. With the Victorian Government's Fair Go rates policy system, there's a 2% increase this year in the rates. There was a 2.5 last year. I believe that is running roughly at the rate of inflation, which everyone knows things go up. I must say, with that increase, we understand that there will be so many people in the community who will be affected differently, and with the hardship policy that we've got in there with the rebate, I would ask anyone who is going to find it really challenging to pay their rates before the due by date, please come forward, talk to our staff. We will do our best we can to work out something to make sure that it isn't as hard as it can be for you. We'll work out something, so therefore that's one thing you can at least have organised to feel like we've worked with you to try and not put that greater burden on you. We've looked at all scenarios, so as I pointed out, I must say general rates are 2/3 of council's revenue, so it is really important if people can pay to pay, but if you can't, we can totally understand, and we're ready for you to come in and visit. I must say some of the projects that we're going ahead with have been waiting a long time for those projects to come forward. Some of the projects that have been delayed, it's really sad that we've had to do that, but nevertheless these are the times we're in, and we have to be responsible, and we have to make sure that everything can be paid for. Anyway, I endorse this. I look forward to hearing what the community have to say about this budget. I believe it's as responsible as we can make it at this time from what we know, but we've looked at all scenarios from the best scenarios all the way through to the worst scenarios in the community, and we're ready for anything at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Do I have any other councillors that would like to speak to this? Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. I'll keep it short and sweet. I'd just like to thank my fellow colleagues, all the councillors that have participated in this budget, in putting their input and working also along the officers and the whole team within council community. I think that the Shire, we all work as a team, and if we didn't work as a team, we wouldn't come up with a budget that hopefully is going to help our community during this difficult time. And so I just commend everyone that's given some input into the budget, and I support the budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ryan. Any other councillors? Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a short note. I'd just like to thank my fellow councillors for withdrawing this item. and reading out the recommendation. It's a big recommendation of this budget at this difficult time. And I want to congratulate the staff of Cardinia Shire, who have done a fantastic job to get this budget down as it is under these difficult circumstances. Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to just to make sure that I thanked the mover and the seconder, of course, particularly for this item, and my fellow councillors for their hard work ever since December, starting this budget, and the ever-changing face of the budget, which has changed since then as we've gone along. So it's extenuating circumstances we have to face, and it's going to get worse probably before it gets better, but we'll be there to support our community as we have done in the past, and particularly at this time. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. Any other councillors like to speak? All right, Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to echo the thoughts of my fellow councillors with regard to the budget. We all realise that we are in difficult times here, and I know it's been very difficult for the officers to come up with this budget, particularly in trying to meet our commitments. And I take notice what Councillor Ross said regarding paying the bills, because I think that's important in these times, and also the fact that we've got some momentum going in respect of our projects. Some have been put back, the others we will honour because it keeps people in work. And I think that's one of the main things to address this pandemic, is to make sure people can work. The staff here are working under an extremely difficult situation where they're working from home. The things kept moving, I guess. The projects are moving on. Everything else is moving on. The budget itself, I guess, will be scrutinised by the community, and I just ask the community to reflect a little bit on how difficult it is, given the circumstances that we are in and the hard work that's been done. By all means, make submissions, but back your submissions up with good, cold, hard facts, because this budget's been put in place in a very responsible manner. I'd like to compliment the CEO for that, because she led the team. Scott, the Chief Financial Officer, very easy people to work with, lay the figures out in front of us. We are very well informed as a council, I believe, probably more informed now than we have ever been. So I'd just like to endorse the budget, support my fellow councillors in moving this budget, and I hope that the community sees it for what it is. It's a responsible budget. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Brown. Before I go back to the mover to speak, I'll say a few words and just reiterate what has been mentioned already. I'd like to thank the staff for the tremendous effort they put into developing this budget. You know, some people may think, well, we do that every year, we develop budgets, and that's true. Councillors, every year we start in about October and we work month to month developing the budget as we had our forward estimates came from the previous years, with always including what we're going to look at spending. And then came February and came COVID-19, and all of a sudden we sent our financial team back into the office 24 hours a day practically to rework this, you know, at the last minute, because we had to still meet this deadline to get this budget out, the draft budget out by April. So I just need to thank the staff for the effort that went into this, and for the councillors as well for all our extra consideration. We've been coming along this journey the whole time. We were there for the first few months, and then we had to start rewriting how this was going to look. And I believe we have delivered something that's going to best suit the needs across our community, to the best of our ability. And to let the community know that we are working together through these hard times. We are here together, because that's what council is. We are representatives of the community, and we are dealing with community assets. The infrastructure we are intending to build is to meet community needs. The services we deliver is to meet the needs of our community. And in essence, this is our community's money that we are deliberating over and deciding how to spend that money. So as Councillor Brown pointed out, and my fellow colleagues, we encourage everyone to get on the website. From Thursday, it'll be available, and make your submissions towards your thoughts on how this budget is presented, and any ideas around that. But to remember, constructive elements is what we are hoping to look for here from our members of our community, to work towards, the best outcomes. And we want to hear from community members to understand what their needs really are. So please, I encourage everyone to get involved, come on this journey with us together. And it's been a difficult time, and but this is where we can work together. And this time more than ever, we should be working together in harmony with our communities to deliver the best outcomes in the end. I'll go to Councillor Wilmot to summarise and finish off. Thank you, councillors.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, councillors, for your words and the support you've shown for this proposed budget. And it has been a tricky budget and a difficult period, but we've tried to strike a balance of maintaining essential services, providing community and business support within our means, and preparing to be part of the economic stimulus on the other side of COVID-19. I'd also like to thank the CEO and her leadership team for their role in the budget and council plan preparation. And I'd like to also thank Scott Moore and his finance team for the work they've done over many months, but in particular for the work they've done the last few weeks. It can't have been an easy process, and I'm sure that they will all deserve a good break after this has been finalised in a few months' time. They've been excellent at keeping councillors very well informed and walking us through every step of the process in what was a very daily, changing environment. They've been excellent. This public consultation period is going to be a little different this year. Not having our libraries open means that people can't visit those community facilities where the budget would normally be on exhibition and they'd be able to sit and read it. It will be available online, as I think the Mayor's just mentioned. And I'm sure that if anybody has trouble reading it online, if they really, really need to have a hard copy, I'm sure that we will be able to send one to them. If they just call customer service, I'm sure that we can make those arrangements without a problem. But it is online, and I do encourage people to still participate. Just because it's different doesn't mean we shouldn't still partake in it. And it's important to hear what the community thinks of what we're doing. But as Councillor Brown did mention, it needs to be well thought through submissions this year. Probably the days of putting forward big proposals for big budget items is not a thing that we can really do at this point. We've got restrictions and they're tighter than they've ever been before. And like every normal domestic budget, it will take some time for people to get through this process. If they've lost income and jobs, it will take them some time to get through it, and it will also take council some time to get through this. So I hope people do take some notice of the budget. I hope we do get some submissions. I'm sure that we will have some way of doing the public meeting where they speak to their submissions. We might have to line them up outside and bring them in one by one and have them down the far end of the room or something, but we'll find a way to do it. If we've still got to do it that way, then we'll find a way of doing it. So please, hopefully we'll get some good submissions over the next couple of weeks, and I look forward to seeing them when they come through. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wilmot. Councillors, I'll now put this to a vote. All those in favour? I declare that unanimously carried. Thank you. That concludes discussion of the items withdrawn. Can I please have a motion to adopt the recommendations for the balance of the items listed? Councillor Graham Moore, and seconded by Councillor Ray Brown. Councillors, all those in favour? I declare that carried. Thank you. Reports or minutes of committees. I note that reports from various committees have been received in addition to the minutes of the recent council briefing sessions, and these are available if any councillors wish to view them. Councillor reports. Councillors, do you have any matters you wish to report this evening? Councillor Colin Ross.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just reporting that I must say life as a councillor has changed. We're in a very new world. We as councillors are learning to adapt with things like Skype, Zoom, Google Teams, all these different online platforms, and it's something new for us. In some cases it makes us be able to be at more places at more times to get to more events and more things, and on the other hand, sometimes it's extremely challenging if the people running the whole thing are struggling behind the 8 ball to be up to speed with it. I must say, look, so far our IT team are always there for us to help us out, which I'm always there, and I'm very thankful for their support. But I must say it is changing, and like the world around us, we will change with that world. So it's very different not to have a community here. It's very different not to be able to attend many community meetings as well, of all different things. So anyway, I just wanted to let people know that, you know, all the meetings we do attend, most of them aren't person to person anymore. Most of them are online. And that's all I wanted to report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Ryan.
Through you, Mayor, thank you. Yes, I'd just like to point out that the community may see the councillors as not doing as much work, but I assure you that we're doing quite a lot more work. And as Councillor Ross said, adapting to either Zoom or Skyping or any other means that we can communicate with our community. I think for me, personally, I've been keeping in contact with a lot of the committees that I have been associated with, just to keep in contact and just keep that open contact. That's very important, especially for their mental health and well-being. And just having normal chats as to what they're actually doing to keep, you know, healthy and eating properly, and how they're coping with going to the supermarket, what times they go, and how they cope with, you know, Bunnings is probably the biggest comment out of a lot of the people within the communities, saying that Bunnings being so busy, but Bunnings are doing the right thing where they do have sanitisers at the door. They're only taking a certain amount of people in each time. And then sanitising your hands when you come out, and so how many people come out, they allow so many people to go in. So a lot of the people within the community that I've spoken with, they're actually doing all these projects that have been left at home over the time during the busy times they've been on committees. So it's been productive in a lot of ways, and it's great to hear that people in our community are keeping an active life and staying healthy and staying safe, and they're the most important things. That, but also that if you find yourself in any trouble or any difficulty, you know, the council is here to help, and there are emergency services that can be put in place for you. So, you know, just connecting with someone, senior age people, that's been my concern, is how they're coping, and hopefully that we don't leave anyone slip through the cracks as far as looking out for them and having those emergency services in place for them if need be. So please don't hesitate to call the council. They're there to help. And that's all I've got to report from on my committees. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ryan. Councillors, anyone else wish to speak? There being none, we'll move along. Councillors, that concludes tonight's proceedings. May I have a motion, please, now to open the meeting? Councillor Graham Moore, seconded by Councillor Letitia Wilmot. Councillors, all those in favour? Thank you. I declare that carried. Thank you all for your attendance. I now declare the meeting closed. Good evening.